Good morning, garden lovers. It's Monday, and it's been probably 3 days since the last rain. So I came out here to water. I haven't been here for a couple of days because I know that I don't need to water. So I was focusing in the back garden, trying to get that situated. And so when I came out here, which I was expecting it, I noticed a lot of wisteria new growth from a wisteria that I literally killed about 3 years ago. When we moved here, I wanted a wisteria so bad. My husband built me an arbor from scratch, and my mother-in-law gave me a wisteria, and it actually took 7 years for it to bloom. So during that 7 years that it was getting ready to bloom, it was just, you know, trying to focus on that energy, I guess. And so it was, behaving. It was staying where it was. It was nice and pretty, even though, like I said, it didn't bloom. But once after it bloomed, the wisteria just went wild. And I don't know if you guys know, and especially, first-time gardeners, wisteria's vine gets really big. I mean, it's a soft, it's a vine, so it's soft and you can cut it really easily, but it can reach like a small tree trunk size, the vine. And so that's what happened. It obliterated the arbor. It was growing massive. It killed the tree that was beside it, and so it was growing in this area right here. There used to be a tree right there where the hydrangea is, and that has been cut down because it died. It got choked by the wisteria, and it was a huge oak tree. It was years old. And so now, like I said, it's been about 3 years, and I'm still trying to kill the wisteria. So after every rain, when the sun comes out, I know that I have to come here and scope out the new growth, and so I pulled him out. So I made a mistake. I thought I dug up a big root that was down here when I was rethinking this bed here, and as I mentioned in my previous videos, I dug up plants that I already have, put them in like holes, where there's a gap because the plants are just planted this year. So, when there's a gap, I put lamb's ears that I just dig up, and some of this Nipida. I have a 6 Hills giant Nipida, and so I made a mistake of digging a hole here, literally cut a big root the size of bigger than my thigh, and so now, as you can see, there's growth. And I don't know, look at this is a day's worth of growth. So in 3 days, that would be 6 feet long. And I wish somebody told me or warned me about that, especially if you live, you know, somewhere in the south. I'm in zone 7B, so North Georgia, north of Atlanta, and it just a prime weather for wisteria to grow wild. And I don't want that, because I am now noticing growth going towards, like, at the end of the driveway, which is, the house is right there. I'm afraid that, you know, the big root will ruin the foundation, will wreak havoc on pipes and all that stuff. So, but this area right here, I think, unfortunately, I'm gonna have to dig up again this lamb's ear and move it so I can maybe dig it some more and maybe spray it with weed killer or something, because I haven't done that. You know, as you know, I really try not to do poison in the garden, but I have to be concerned now, because, you know, so when I pull the wisteria, so like I said, I dug a hole here so the ground is really nice, soft and pliable. That's why that lamb's ear has gotten really big. It was just a little thing when I planted it. But the soil there is really nice, so when you pull it, I try to get as much or as deep as I can. And you can see the white part is, you know, that's what's buried. And so yeah, but I'm probably gonna wait until when it gets cooler, and or if there's a rain coming, that's when I'm gonna dig up this lamb's ears, because I mean, you know, it's gonna get disturbed all the time anyway when I constantly pull the wisteria. So fortunately, you know, my eye is now trained to spot wisteria growth, because when they come up, they're like coppery color, so it catches your eye. And plus, you know, it's like it's my nemesis, so my eye just search for it. It's just like with pine seedlings, it's like one of my nemesis. So it just jumps at me all the time. There's nothing wrong with pine. I have a couple of pine. There's one there, and there's a couple, and there's actually now a few in the bottom of our property over on top of the hill, in the back. So because, you know, with work and life, and, you know, instead of mowing that field down there every 2 weeks or so, you know, we neglected it for a couple of years. So now there's a pine forest there. But so yeah, that's my goal. Every time I come here, I look for pine seedlings and wisteria new growth, and that's my focus all the time. And like I said, I've been doing that for 3 years now, and it's I'm losing, and the wisteria is winning, and it's not good for the house. And the same thing with the tree that I love the most, which I have two actually on the driveway. Um, they're the Yoshino cherry trees. Um, you cannot plant those close to your foundation because the same thing, the trunk, I mean the roots are just as big as the trunk of the tree. It's very vigorous, and you know, it's beautiful, but trying to fix foundation and your pipes is way expensive um, for beauty. The trade up is, it's just doesn't, you know it doesn't make sense if you think, oh, I don't care, it's beautiful. You can't think like that. Well, maybe when you're younger and nobody tells you any better, but I'm telling you, one of the hard lessons that I've learned with gardening. But so this butterfly is enjoying the zinnias, and so speaking of zinnias, this is the clump that I bought from the garden center before the sown seeds did anything, and so here's the one from seeds, and the one from the nursery is the harsh color. It's beautiful, don't get me wrong, but it's not as beautiful as the pinks and the mild orange variety that I planted, and it's contrasting well with the hydrangea. And it just lifts your spirit. Like I said, I wasn't gonna do a video this morning because I was a little sad, but then I saw the butterfly, so I thought I'll share. So here's my rose arbor, and there was actually one, I don't know why, I guess it was meant to be, one wild moonflower. I don't know if you call it a moonflower, but and it didn't even bloom. It didn't bloom, but it climbed, and you know, aesthetically, it's doing what I wanted it to do. So next year, I'll make sure that that I will pull whatever comes up in that area, because it's not really doing anything flower wise, but it's good for now. So the Six Hills giant catnip is doing well. It's actually blooming, and the pincushion is actually, I deadheaded it, and then and it's flushing more blooms again. So I'm gonna deadhead this guy. And then I'll just clean it up later. There's when I purchased this guy, it was the only one at the nursery. I guess you know how when everybody's trying to buy flowers, and you know, it's mid-June or something, and there's only a scarce quantity in the nursery, especially in small nurseries like where I am. So, but Tractor Supply put their perennials on sale after June or so, or mid-June, and so these two, and that guy right there, you know, I didn't know what color it was. Like I said, it was on sale, and it's actually this one is like pinkish purple, and this one is soft blue, which, you know, I don't mind. So maybe in a year or two I can actually maybe divide this and replace that one with a division and move this guy somewhere else. I mean, you know, it's really, this variety right here is very prolific. It blooms, and then it just keep on blooming. So what else I'm happy about this bed right now? So the transplanted, what is this guy? Is actually blooming. So the other one, the big one, has been blooming all year. I mean, all year, since probably end of March. So that's done, and this is actually replacing that. Yarrow. I don't know. I didn't think of that. So this yarrow is saving the garden, a transplant. And beside the zinnias, what's really impressing me in this bed is this green jewel echinacea. Here's the butterfly again. This echinacea, and in my previous video I told you that during our travel, because I got this from Columbus, Ohio, there was one bloom and it kind of got ruined from the travel, so I clipped it and put it in water in a vase, and it lasted for 2 weeks. And so, I mean, look at that thing. The sun is hitting it, and actually after this video I'm gonna cut some of the flowers so it will encourage more flowers. And unfortunately the phlox is done. I'm hoping that next year it will, you know, I will have more volunteers, because that was a volunteer, probably from the back garden. And then that would be a big patch there in, can you imagine? I mean, the bloom there was beautiful. It served, the white kind of cuts all the harsh or saturated colors from the zinnia in the front. So that was a nice break for the eye. So anyway, so that's done. And then the sedum, Autumn Joy, I actually saw a wisteria growth from the screen somewhere in there. So I have to go in there and find it. So this is Autumn Joy sedum, and it's blooming. The green is beautiful. I love it, and it actually looks good in arrangement. But probably in a month or a couple of weeks, this will turn copper. Beautiful fall autumnal hue. So that's what they're known for. But the green, I love the green as well before they turn. And then the Gerber daisies are flushing out again. It was done blooming about mid-June. So as long as there's plenty of water, constant water is what it needs for it to bloom over and over. So, and then I have this three. Actually, you know, when I was redoing the bed and there was plenty of liriopes, so I was just putting liriopes everywhere. So I am actually happy where it's at right now. But there was, in between the three, there was a hole. So I had a pot with something, an annual in it, and it was just sitting there. So I thought it would be pleasing to the eye, you know, jutting out. And then I'll just got an annual there, a geranium, which is not doing so hot right now. But you know, more rain hopefully, and then I just fertilized that with rose tone. That's what I have. So hopefully it will put out some more growth. But that was one of the sale from Tractor Supply as well. And then over here, the echinaceas, you know, they're at its prime. And I was actually, first thing I did this morning, I came out with a pair of shears and deadheaded. There's the remnant. I deadheaded the aster, so it bloomed, which is not supposed to happen. And so I just deadhead that, quite a few. It's a big patch. So it would bloom again in the fall. So you can just imagine that. And in the fall with the cup flower. I have to show you that when it blooms. Cup flower is a new thing to me. I learned about it and purchased it from a local native plant nursery in our area. So I cleaned that up. I really need to deadhead maybe the echinaceas, but then when I do, there'll be nothing there for the bees, so I just leave them. Because really, the bees need something to eat. And so this is the other side that I cleaned up. It's doing pretty well. So the yellow liriope with the bee balm, the native bee balm that's already done. You know, it's nice contrast. You can see. with the lamb's ear and then the wandering Jew beside it. So, but you know, like I said, I cleaned up. Oh, look, there's a wisteria. So let me go in there and pluck it. I'm telling you how sad that makes me, knowing that a big, huge, because like I said, I've dug up some roots and it's huge. And it seemed like you can't kill it at all. You cut like a piece of it, but then the other parts of it will continue to grow. So I don't know. I don't know what will happen, but that's why I wanted to share that with everybody, so nobody will make that mistake that I made. So I'm so glad that I cleaned up and unearthed this path, because it's just so easy to go in the middle instead of going around to go to this side. And here's some of the plants too that I pulled out and cleaned up this area right here. One of my other invasive plants is the mugwort, but it's confined in this area, and like I said, I just pull him out when they serve their purpose after the spring. And so yeah, so that's where the garden is at. But also the shade garden right here. I don't know if I shared this Hakone grass, Hakonechloa, or Japanese grass, and I think that's all gold, the variety. And I can't wait. It will get probably 3 feet by 3 feet. I can't wait for that to grow and sort of conceal the rock and grow amongst the hosta and the astilbe and the hellebore. That's a different variety of hellebore. I can't even remember what that was. There's one leaf, because it's only like 2 years old, but once it blooms, it will put out more leaves, and in the third year, next year, that should be growing more than it is now. And there's the it looks like a Solomon seal, isn't it? But it's not. It's a toad lily. Tricertus is the Latin name. And it will have, it didn't bloom this year. I transplanted that there about a year ago. And so it will have like small orchid-like flowers. Beautiful. And then the wintergreen plants that I pulled from my woods, it actually looks so much better, and it's putting out new growth. So there's 3 now. See? It's so beautiful for a tiny little thing from the woods. And oh yeah, and so this hosta is 2 years old, and that's gonna get big. The reason why it's not is because I don't fertilize, or I don't really keep up with watering. So I can't wait next year when that will contrast with the two heucheras. And then the curly fries, my sail find, and then that guy right there, my dogs probably stepped on it, if you can see. But no worries. And some bugs are eating it too. But next year, that should get a little bit bigger as well. So that's just planted along with that guy. And the sweet woodruff. Look how beautiful. And sweet woodruff should crawl all the way. And unfortunately, I can't find sweet woodruff here in Georgia right now. I actually found that in Ohio, so I wish I bought more than that, but I wasn't sure. So maybe I can just divide that and spread it across, and that will have pretty white flowers in the spring. I had sweet woodruff before, and of course, you know, time. I wasn't able to take care of my garden that well. And so I can just spread it around and make it into a ground cover. And then the prostrate hydrangea gardenia, it actually bloomed. It's been there a while. It's like a ground cover, but you know, don't underestimate how small a gardenia is, because when they bloom, it would perfume your whole garden. So I have two huge ones in the back, and I'm actually thinking about creating like a tree form. I'm planting it over there in my wild area right now that I have to take care of. So that's the shade garden. And then on this side is the azalea garden. And it's also where my new verde Japanese maple, which is Ghost Dancer. It's doing well. It's actually, I haven't been babying it, so I let it dry out per, you know, what the grower told me. So it would acclimate to my soil, and I can't wait for that to grow over the azaleas, and you know, make a big statement. And so in front of the azaleas are the hellebores that's been, I don't know, it's been there over 10 years, that's all I can say. It looks kind of nothing right now, but in the fall they would double in size, and they will set up blooms for early or late spring. Late winter, early spring, and this would just be a beautiful garden, full of blooms of different colors. And so what I'm gonna do, as soon as, you know, I go to the nursery or Home Depot, I'm gonna get probably, or I actually have a huge hosta that I have to dig up, so I'm probably gonna dot it here. So maybe one there, another there, and then just fill in the empty spots, so it will carry that, you know, the garden through late summer when everything is not too pleasant looking. So yeah, so this is the winter garden. Winter and spring, because the azaleas, they bloom mid-spring. And so that's where everything is at. I don't know if I've shared this with you before, but this is I have a fascination of rocks like no other. Like if you know me, if you see a rock, you would say, Helen, there's a rock. And I'd probably pick it up. I get rocks from when we go places, and it's a kind of like a nice reminder of that trip or and whatnot. But I also am fascinated with cairn, Cairn. It's an ancient way of you know marking a road, a path, a certain part of the path. You know, the ancient people, when they didn't have any roads, and so when vegetation grows, you know, you kind of lose the path, and so they make markers with stones, and also for their burial grounds and cemeteries, or not cemeteries, but you know, where they bury their dead before cemeteries were created. So and isn't that just it's peaceful to me. It's rocks. I mean, nothing more ancient than rocks and in that form. But you can, you know, you can do all kinds of design or whatever. I was actually astonished when one of my son's ex-girlfriends went to Greece, and there were cairns, and like I said, when you know me, so she sent me a picture, and she goes, look at this. And also one of my obsession is taking care of moss patches in my garden. So so here's one. I have plenty in the back. They kind of like look puny in the middle of summer because they need a lot of water. But as soon as little weeds come up, I pull them out and just to clean them up a little bit. And if you are a botanical garden enthusiast and you visit, you know, lots of botanical gardens, the botanical gardens with Japanese gardens in it, they will have mossy area. And actually I learned, or I first heard of it from Martha Stewart when she had a TV show, and she was talking about I think it was the Oregon Botanical Garden, and they the Japanese garden, and they actually have a person that weeds the mossy area, the moss garden they call it. And you know, there's an art to it, so you don't disturb when you pull out the weed. I think Martha said that they use tweezers, but all I do is like hold or put two fingers, put the weed in the middle of your two fingers and pull it that way. That way the two fingers are holding the moss down so you don't pull him out and disturb it too much. So, so yeah, obsessions, right? So, and here's another fern that I can't wait for next year. This is a Christmas fern that I stole from the roadside. I mean, you know, not really stealing. They were developing a mountain, probably into a subdivision, and killing all the native plants growing there. So I just dug a couple up. Hold on. Clean up. Storm. They see, lots of debris. Look, I can't even show you my back deck because, you know, I sweep it every day, and then here comes a storm, and then I have to sweep it again and again. But so I hope everybody's doing well. Like I said, I had a situation early this morning with my neighbor's dog and my cat, and it's very sad. It's very sad. But anyway, I hope everybody's doing well. I hope everybody's finding joy in the little things. And I hope this little video, you know, at least gives you a little joy. There's actually a couple more butterflies. So let's go over there to end this video. And get out there. Tend to your garden. Enjoy the flowers. And I'll see you, sweet, sweet garden lovers, somewhere down the garden path.